Welcome to the KC Stars, where we talk to people in the local film community in Kansas and Missouri. And I have with me two fellas, and I'm going to let you introduce yourselves so you can say all your titles. I'll let you go first, Travis.
All right. Well, I'm Travis Youmans, and I'm just a big horror movie fan nerd. And I don't know, I've been in a few movies, acting and kind of production assistant type stuff. Um, I don't know. It's been a long time of doing this and just for fun, just hanging out with friends and making movies, and I don't know, I love doing it. So, Chris.
I'm Chris Fleetwood. Again, just a big movie fan and collector, along with Travis, as you can see in his background. I don't know if you can see all that, but he's got a ton of movies, just like me. Um, had my first venture into, being in a movie, acting and helping out about 15 years ago, which we'll probably talk about here a little bit later. And then most recently, meeting up with Travis over the last, I guess, 5 years or so, and getting involved with the local scene here in Kansas City. So,
Well, very cool. Where were you at before you moved here?
um, well, the other venture that I delved into was in Hutchinson, Kansas. So, but I've lived in Dallas. I'm originally from Springfield, Missouri. Lived in Independence/Coffeyville, Kansas, also, and like I said, been in Kansas City now for about 7 years.
Wow, wow. And Travis, have you been in Kansas City all your life?
Since I was 10, I was born in Colorado, and then we lived in England for 2 years, and then we lived in Australia for 2 years. My dad was a programmer analyst for airlines, so we kind of moved around a bit. But since I was 10, we've lived here.
There's a front porch doorbell.
Yeah. So how did you both get started? I mean, because there's one thing being a fan, but another producing, being a part of things. How did you both get started?
Chris, you want to go first? Is he? I can go first. So basically, my kind of origin into the Kansas City film
Sorry, I had
scene.
difficulties.
Oh, you're
Oh,
good.
it's all good. Yeah, Travis will go first then. It's no worries.
My kind of venture into the film scene, well, basically, if we go back about almost 20 years, I met Patrick Rea. His wife worked with my wife at the Kansas City Art Institute, and she came home one day and she said, "My best friend's husband is a filmmaker," and I was like, "Oh, that's cute," And then she brought home some DVDs, and we put in one. It was Paint Shaker, and I watched it. I was like, "This is a real movie," and this guy knows what he's doing. So it was intimidating, but at the same time, it was like, "Oh, this is cool. This is actually happening where we live." And so, kind of started meeting people. I was just kind of there on set for a few of his movies, of Patrick's like short films and stuff. And then my first kind of movie that I was a part of was a film called Mahi that Kai Winica, Tony Ontiveros, Tristan Noel, they all put together, and it was a lot of fun to make. Kind of a little monster movie that they did. And then since then, it's just been kind of piecing things together. And I met Todd at one of the Crypticon, festivals, and I think that's where I met him. I actually don't remember. I kind of geeked out, and somebody was like, "That's Todd Sheets," and I was like, "No way." And then we met, became a little bit of friends, and started working together. And I was a werewolf in Bonehill Road, and then I got my head ripped off in um, God, what was it? I'm trying to blank. Um,
With Moon
uh,
Rising?
no, and well, that too. But in the Losing It at the Devil's Whorehouse
Oh,
that was
okay.
the short film from High Eight, or High Fear. Sorry, High Fear. Sorry, I'm
Very
nervous.
cool. Chris, same question. Just talking about why did you get started? How did you get started in film?
So I was living in Hutchinson, Kansas at the time, running a Hastings Entertainment. I don't know if you're familiar with them, books, music, video games. Like I said, about 15 years ago, had the gentleman come in and he started selling, media back to us, and we found out we had the same interests. He had a casting call for a movie he was working on. It was his first, and it was called Undead on Arrival. And I showed up with another coworker of mine, um, just wanting to be crew, and just see kind of how the process went. My first venture into it. Um, After I got a small part, just a really quick, maybe 5 to 10 second spot, just as one of the extras. Um, and then because he was a lead in the film, he needed somebody to run the camera most of the time. And I didn't have any experience with the camera at all, but he trusted me enough that I probably filmed at least 50% of it, because he was in the, as a lead. So after we did that, which that one actually we um, had on consignment on DVD at my store in Hastings, and then he decided to do a second movie called Fallout, which he did, because he wasn't in that movie, he ran camera and gave me an executive producer credit on it because I was watching, just and giving my feedback on how the shots were, if the dialogue was being delivered correctly, and just my thoughts, etc. So that was my first venture into it. Um, didn't do anything else with it until I came to Kansas City. I worked for Dollar Tree and saw a gentleman standing in the aisle with either a hat on or a jacket that had one of the boutique labels that I watch, and that person happened to be Travis. And so we started conversation and found out we had similar interests. And he said, "Hey, I run this bad movie night. Why don't you come and check it out? We do it about every few months." And so I did. And so just through years of us, our friendship, he said that, "Oh, Todd's working on a new movie." And I said, "Oh, I would like to be part of that in some shape or form. I would just like to see Todd's process. Do you think he would allow me to, come on set?" And he said, "Oh yeah, they've got a crew call coming up. Why don't you just show up to that meeting?" And that started everything with Todd, and getting involved with Wolf Moon Rising. So
Very cool. Have either of you been involved in other of Todd's movies?
I was
Travis was.
involved yeah, in the Bonehill Road. I was one of the werewolves. And that was, as you know, Kyle, that was a very warm suit, because we were shooting it in August, I think. And it was, you can't wear it for more than, I don't know what they said, like 8 minutes or something like that. And they had to take it off and like drain the sweat out of it.
It's so funny. I remember Todd, whenever I think it was in Springfield, Missouri, at one of the showings, that Wolf Moon Rising is shown in hundreds of places, I believe. But we were all at the one in Springfield. I consider Springfield my hometown, just like Kris. So I went there. Stayed with my dad. My daughter's there. People could watch the movie. I knew, and Todd was talking about people thinking he had CGI'd stuff that he had not CGI'd because people were in those suits the whole time. He had to do little breaks and all that. Just amusing how things come about. People believe
It is.
one thing. Someone posts something online and everybody believes it after a while.
Yep,
Um,
true.
but yeah, so Bonehill Road, and then you just this next Wolf Moon Rising. That was your next one.
And between then, I did a short film with them that
Oh,
was
that's right.
Losing It at the Devil's Whorehouse. And it was me and a couple guys go to the house, and we just there's all kinds of monsters, and you know how a Todd film works, and I
Yeah.
think it was
Well, hey,
fun. It
I'm
was
going to
filmed.
ask you all about some pictures. Some will be for both. Some will be just for one. Oop, my phone is going, or my thing's going crazy with my new phone. What is this? Tell me about this.
Chris, you want this one?
Well, of course, that's, Todd's newest and latest, greatest feature, Wolf Moon Rising. Been touring it for a little over a year now. Get a physical release later this year through Wild Eye Releasing. It was already sealed in, with that distribution deal because Rob is a big fan of Todd and will eventually pick up, I think, the majority of Todd's back catalog and anything that hasn't been released after it's been remastered. So yeah, we're on the last leg, I believe, of touring this, the second round. Um, and then it'll get a physical release first for about 90 days and then hit streaming platforms afterwards.
Yeah, and you in this movie, I have you listed as the actor and the werewolf. and wardrobe and cables and makeup and assistant set builder. Is that all true? That's tremendous.
Yeah, so again, I showed up to every set or every shoot, and it was just whatever needed done. At time it was just me and maybe two other people as crew. So we're doing lighting, we're helping with makeup, whatever needs done, cleanup, and then of course, I was told that if you're crew on a Todd film, you usually end up in the movie somehow, either as an extra or whatever. And I think through my dedication of showing up, he decided to put me in there. I got a little snippet as one of the soldiers, and a little quick one liner, and then I also stunt doubled as one of the females when she gets pulled down a shaft by the wolf. I was one of the other wolves in fight scenes,
Wow.
and just a lot of different hats I wore. I played in that
You
in
were
that
a
film.
huge,
So
huge part of that, Kris. What is this?
this would be whenever we were filming at the hangar. So that's just one of the shots that they took of everybody the day with the extras, where everybody was getting annihilated by the wolf.
Yeah, and you're there with some people I recognize. Who is this?
That's Amanda Payton,
Who's
Todd's
this?
right hand woman. That's Antoine.
And I don't know the other two. Do you know these two, Kris?
Is that Sheila
Oh,
Travis?
okay.
Maybe. And then the one down on the far left, that would be Mackenzie. She just
Understand.
showed up that one day for the shoot. She was going to be involved in another project, side project that we were doing with Jack McCord, and ended up going MIA on Facebook. So
It
we weren't able
happens.
to get a hold of her. So, but I think she would have been a really good, been really fit for that role.
And this is you. Who is you? Who are you with, Travis? I already know the answers to my own questions. I just want you to say it.
That's me and Ricky Williams,
Ricky.
one of the coolest people on set, and he was like Kris. He kind of just does everything. He's a Renaissance man on the set.
Yeah, I know he designed the guns. He was telling me about what he did to the guns to turn toy guns into space guns. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And tell me about what is Fallout?
So Fallout was the second feature that I did with a now defunct company called Moonlight Films, ran by Robert Yates out of Hutchinson, Kansas. He's now a professor at the Hutchinson Community College there. His counterpart at the time, which when we did Undead on Arrival, was a gentleman named Danny Nolan. He worked for a funeral home. They had been longtime friends. He worked for a funeral home there in Hutchinson, and we were able to film at the funeral home. He later went on to get a funeral director license through Kansas City Community College. Pursued that for a while. Make a long story short, he now works in forensics with the Department of Hutchinson Police Department. So Fallout was a second feature. This one was more of kind of like more on the psychological realm. So this was based on some of the other stuff that Robert had seen, whether it be like through the Twilight Zone, those type of movies. But it was a group of friends and or acquaintances go down for like a party or get together in a basement, and the host decides to tell them that bombs have been dropped. Everybody outside's getting annihilated or becoming zombies or whatever the case, the apocalypse. And
Wow.
so he won't let them leave the bunker. And so it's just kind of the play off of, what is actually out there, and then one person pitting against another. Really low key, not a lot of gore. Um, but more like I said on the psychological realm. So that
Yeah.
one was like I said, I played executive producer on because I was just more behind the scenes watching and observing, and then feeding my input. So
It,
these both that and Undead on Arrival both had really limited physical releases. When I worked for Hastings, I had them on consignment there, and so there's probably maybe a dozen copies floating around.
yeah.
I've got I think two of those. Undead on Arrival actually screened at the Kansas State Fair the year that we released that, and we projected it onto the side of the building there later in the evening. But outside of that, it'll probably never see light of day. One, because of licensing issues on the music, and two, they've kind of both taken a step back in their careers and aren't really pursuing film anymore.
Yeah, I was thinking when you were describing it, it sounded like that John Goodman movie where they were in a bunker.
Hmm.
He kidnapped
10
somebody or was
Cloverfield
going to kidnap someone. They end up in the bunker. They can't go out. Then he won't let them out. And
Right.
10
um,
Cloverfield Lane.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, I could not remember. Tell me about this movie. I think it's
So
Travis.
this one is the third part of an anthology. There was High Eight. Uh, what was the next one? High High Death and High
Hi,
Fear.
Jack.
And so High Fear was the one that the short that I was in, the Losing It at the Devil's Whorehouse. That was part of it. And it's just an anthology of different filmmakers who came together and put their, creepy Tales from the Crypt style short films with they're more twisted,
Sure.
And then
What?
this is Joel Warren Coop is a one of the legends of B movies of all time. Great guy, really nice, and the reason this was credited was just because I sent him probably like $20 or something, and he gave me a producer credit or I don't know, a thank you credit. I don't remember what I got, but
Yeah, yeah, I think it
uh,
was a thank you, but I could be wrong. But
he sent when he sent the DVD of that to me, he drew like a Spider-Man drawing and signed it, and he's just a really nice, very sweet guy.
and what is this?
So this was part of our second venture, I believe, into well, this might have been at a convention. Yeah, might have been L.A.
That's
But
Greenland.
oh, is that Screenland?
Yeah.
Okay. The reason why I kind of got it confused, which we can talk about a little bit later, Kyle, was you were talking about what else we had done with Todd, and Travis and I were both involved in another project. That's why this looks familiar, because all these people in the picture are also involved in that project.
Yeah,
So
I gotcha. Very cool. And there you are. I'm going to move this over just to make sure you can be seen. And there's my buddy Marcus right over there, and Doug, and everybody else. There's Jack. Tell me about what is this a picture of?
So this is our crew on the spaceship, and most of us died. I guess that's a spoiler, sorry. But it was just an awesome group of people to work with. As always, I've worked with a couple of them more than once, and I love them. And the ones that I don't only worked with this time, I love them too. They're all amazing people, very talented. It made me feel less talented because I was just, working with professionals, and I'm just sitting there like, this is so much fun. But it's just cool people, and we had a blast making it. Oh, this is from Wolfman Rising, by the way.
Yeah, very cool. And I'll tell you, it's nice if you're around people that make you say, "Oh, I hope I got to up my game."
Hmm.
I like it um, as well. I enjoy that. Yeah, and I was in it. I had a little baby role in it as
You
the
were
sweet.
fantastic.
I was the sweet gentleman that was being wronged by people. That's the way I feel.
Well, you were great in it.
Oh, right. Thank you, thank you. So were you. I appreciate it. Hey, Chris, were you the werewolf that they pops out of something? Like, was that you?
so there's a scene. I'm not sure which scene you're talking about. There's a scene where they're walking through and they show the dead bodies, and there's a wolf that's pulling intestines out, and then gets thrown out of the spaceship, where the kind of really funny
Okay.
figure. I was that wolf, and then there's a battle scene where the main wolf Jeremy and I were in the cockpit actually fighting, where Dai Lin could not be available for that particular shoot. So,
That's
like I
spectacular.
said,
Man, you did everything.
I played two different wolf suits, and Jeremy will not let anybody step foot in his suit. So, and nor after seeing the amount of that he sweat would you even want to.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
he
respected that because I heard him say
yes,
that and I respected it. He like, because whenever they were talking about it, kind of like, I am this wolf. I don't want
yes,
anyone else to credit it like we're both equal. Like I am this wolf the
right.
whole time. I
Well,
respected that.
and you saw that transformation too. He was in wolf mode when he was in that suit, and I mean he played it to a T. So
Yeah, he did a wonderful job, actually. Wonderful job. Um, so a little bit more like Kris just asked you, like you did a variety of roles.
mhm.
Is there anyone that like you like to do the best? Like if they said, we'll pay you money for the rest of your life to do blank, you can act, you can do wardrobe, you can do behind the scenes, you can put on costume, whatever it is. Like what would you say you would do? Can only
I
choose
don't.
one.
Yeah, for me, it wasn't even about acting. It was just being involved. So for me, just to be crew on the on the set, I'm fine with that. And if you want to throw me in, that's fine too. But I like being just involved and seeing the process and helping see the director's vision on what they want to come through the camera. So
And Kris, why after all those years? Because you were with the Moonlight film
mhm.
years ago, and then you took a break. How long? And then why did you jump back in?
Honestly, probably just lack of opportunity. I feel like it was happenstance. You know, Travis was talking about Patrick. I knew Patrick before I knew Travis, and I knew him because I reviewed some of his films on again a now defunct website called Sideshow Review. And he actually, I saw Patrick first, again, just kind of odd, when I moved to Kansas City and I ran, my Dollar Tree. He came in just as a customer and I happened to recognize him and we, got to chatting at one point and I said, I reviewed your film years ago. Oh, really? And it was Nail Biter was the film that I reviewed. And then, when I saw Travis, and we started chatting, I said, "Oh, do you happen to know, Patrick Rea?" "Oh, Patrick's my good friend." And it's just like, wow, just the inner circle of, Kansas filmmaking and the movie community. So, and then like I said, it just, by I don't think I ever would have ventured into or even knew about what was going on with Todd's stuff had I not made that contact with Travis.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome. Travis, there was something about you doing a bad movie night or something. Tell me what that is, what we're talking about here.
So a long, long time ago, we started doing we actually had some friends over because my wife was hanging out with her friends, and they brought over Hard Ticket to Hawaii and a couple other just awful movies, and we kind of just from there said, well, we should do this more often. It was like Mystery Science Theater or riff tracks where we're just talking, making fun of the movie, having a good time. And so then after that it became a frequent, we did it once every month or every other month, and just got a bunch of friends together and made fun of some movies. And I will say, when I say made fun of movies or call them bad or anything like that, having before I was ever in any film business, I was completely naive and didn't realize, the amount of effort and work that goes into even the smallest production. But then having been on the other side of the camera, the calling it bad now is not I don't actually think a movie is bad. I just think of it as, they're movies that maybe don't get seen as much. And so movies that I want to show my friends and I want to, basically share with people. So that's what it became. And yeah, so we just do that. Um, we do that as often as we can, when people's schedules work out, and we just throw it on the calendar and watch some movies.
Are you the same? Do you want to act, be behind the scenes? Like what, if you could choose one, which would you choose?
Um, Probably like Kris, just kind of just being involved is it's like a dream come true every time. Um, I would say, I think acting is fun. It's just obviously I'm very kind of socially awkward and introverted, and so it's hard to push yourself. But I think that's part of the fun of it is just pushing yourself, and you know, like you said, when you got people that are around you that are kind of pushing you to be better, then it's a fun feeling, and you just kind of you know, you make something and then you watch it later and you're just like, I did that. I was part of that, and that was cool. And
Very
so I don't
cool.
know.
Now is my derail question, and then we'll get back to the real interview. All right. Someone's coming to Kansas City that is an old friend of yours that you met somewhere else or a relative. They're coming to Kansas City. They said, I'll go to Missouri, I'll go to Kansas, but I want to go to the best barbecue place in the Kansas City area. Where are you going to take them and why? Whoever wants to go first.
I'll take that. I got two answers. Probably a lot of the audience won't like one of them.
It's
So
all right. It's all good.
I'll go with that one first. So I am a vegan, and so it would be weird to take someone to a barbecue and, I don't know, feel maybe hypocritical, but I also work at a restaurant. It's called Tree Hugger. It's in Riverside, and we have a barbecue Sammy, which is like jackfruit. It's been marinated in barbecue. It's awesome. It's an awesome sandwich. All the food there is just comfort food, and it's great. And I recommend it. And that plug over, the other part is a long time ago when we were at a Crypticon one year. Stephen Jeffries from Fright Night was there, and he asked the actual same question. And we were like, well, we don't eat meat, but we'll find out. And I don't think we even told him. We were just like, yeah, we'll take you. And then he hopped in our car and he drove with us. He didn't have any qualms about getting in a stranger's car. And we were, maybe like 20 years old, so he probably didn't think we were a threat. But he went with us to Oklahoma Joe's, and it was just a blast. It was so much fun.
All
Very
right.
nice.
Now called KC Joe's, but yes, excellent. That's given quite a bit as well. And what about you, Chris?
For me, I'm not really a barbecue connoisseur. I've eaten at Gates, I've eaten at Joe's, I've eaten at Arthur Bryant's, several different spots. But if someone were to come to Kansas City and say, I want to go eat somewhere, what's unique? I would honestly tell them longboards. And because I think that's unique to Kansas City, I think if they took one of those to Springfield, it would dominate. Just like if there was a place here in Kansas City, which there is one that I recently found, if they brought Springfield style cashew chicken to Kansas City, it would dominate here, I believe. So,
What's longboards? I've never been to longboards. I've heard of it. What is it?
so it's wraps and bowls. Obviously has kind of a Hawaiian type um, theme, but any combination you can get excuse me, either in a bowl or wrap. It can come hot or cold. Um, the base, ingredient's going to be rice, but you can do like a Viet wrap, which would have a Vietnamese um, authenticity to it. They have Thai wraps, they have Cabo. I would highly suggest going there and just checking it out. But it's an awesome place, and we eat there frequently. So.
Well, hey, talking about like if they brought this here, my thing is, and actually, KC Joe's, I think the brisket's awesome, but I always thought if they could make Texas style brisket and use Kansas City sauce, everybody would be happy. So I think the sauce is better there, and the brisket, or the sauce is better here, but the brisket there, they cut it thicker. I don't know why, but it always seems slightly better. But I think KC Joe's brisket was excellent. I would say, hey, get ribs or burn ends or pulled pork or I would never say get brisket in Kansas City. So sorry if someone doesn't like that. That's my advice. Um, all right. What do you think makes you both, or what could make, word it off you, what do you think could make someone valuable on set? Whoever wants to go.
So I would say the best way to see what a valuable person looks like is just to watch Chris, because he does it all. And I don't know, I am like him. I feel so honored to be part of any production, and anything that I've ever been involved with. I've just been so excited to be there. But then, I'm just kind of there. And then I watch Chris and it's just like, man, he's taking charge. He's just doing everything, and not really like waiting for instructions. Whereas I was just kind of waiting for instructions. But Yeah, just watching Kris. Be like Kris, everybody.
Be like Kris. Kris, what do you think makes somebody good at something?
First is showing up and being committed to whatever you're doing. And in that project, like I said, people, when we did crew calls there, we could have four people there that, on any given day that weren't regulars, and, they might stay for an hour or two and then not really know or ask questions on what they could help with. And that's great. Maybe that was your accolade. You get to go say, "Hey, I was on set with Todd Sheets," and then you move on with your life. I just through time and observation, Travis said I was involved with everything. I'm not one to wait around. If I, obviously, if I don't know what to do, I'll ask. But there's certain things that are pretty standard on set, especially if we're tearing up, setting up and breaking down every day or every weekend, and we know that that needs done. And time is money, and daylight's burning if that's what we're needing to deal with. Also, needing the daylight or night, whatever that is. So. Just engulfing yourself in that project, being there, if you can, from start to finish. And I think that's just where I, not tooting my horn or anything. I think that what I've been told is that's how I gained respect, was just involving myself in the project. And then now post project, I've promoted as much as I can. And I was the one that helped, try to get it set up in Springfield, which was a success. And, I helped with getting shirts made for the project, because I wanted to, people to know about this. And I was not a huge, I'll just say Todd Sheets fan before. I probably couldn't tell you only one or two films I'd seen before Wolf Moon. Um, but I saw Todd's passion too. And I could tell you that just based off of what I seen and how Todd was involved with this project, that it was probably his best project he had ever done. Not only was it a labor of love for him, because that project stemmed from, you know, ideas and thoughts he had had as a kid, and then he had particular people in mind to play those roles. But whenever I saw it on the big screen, I was just like, wow, how someone with what I just saw on set, how they could make that magic happen behind the scenes. And I think Todd stepped up his game, and I think this is going to be the one that he's going to have to beat, and is going to be remembered for, especially for any new fans that he's gained through this whole theatrical run, and when it hits physical media and streaming. So,
Well, I'll tell you the best movie, in my opinion, that I'd ever seen. I've watched probably five or six of Todd Sheets movies. The best one, they all everything involves werewolves, was Bonehill Road. I thought that movie was spectacular. I thought it was great. Like I really loved it when I saw it. I loved Wolf Moon Rising when I saw it as well. I loved it. And then I was just thinking, I've watched a bunch of Patrick Rea stuff as well, even though I mean, I know who he is. He knows who I am. He's been on the podcast, but I don't really know him well. I would love to be in one of his movies, but Patrick Rea, I Am Lisa, again, a werewolf movie. It was wonderful though. I like both of those guys, like I really view them as the top of the food chain horror movies in Kansas City. I mean, I don't see a third place, but maybe there's one out there. I just don't know who they are.
right.
Um, so have you like you sorry, Kris, you have met Patrick Rea before. You said you talked to him. Have you ever worked on any of his projects, or do you plan on in the future?
I have not had the opportunity to. I have, expressed the interest to him that I would like to be involved. Again, if that's just behind the scenes, but I think, not saying he's not open to it, but I think similar to Todd, he works with the people he works with, and they make the show run correctly. And so I think he keeps to that set. Again, I just would like to go see how Patrick works on set, differing from how Todd might work on set.
Yeah.
And again, just as a fan of film and different movies, I like to see different points of view and different styles. And they definitely do have two different styles.
Well, I'll
Not
tell you,
only
like
in
one of my favorite directors is Eric Willis did Wholesome Grove. And you probably can't see it. I'll turn like this. Wholesome Grove. He did that, and I really love working with him. However, he's a little bit different than those in that, like, even though I've been a lead for him, I've been in supporting roles for him, I've been in multiple projects, I would still have to audition for a role to get it. And he doesn't want to work with the same people over and over. Like, I'm not in his next movie, even though I've been in a bunch of them. So it's like he wants to, and I get it. You know, you don't want to keep doing stuff with the same people. You want to have a
Right.
variety, and you want to choose the best person. Even if, let's say, this is one of your favorite people over here, this movie, this person would be better for, or let me see how they do. Um, and this is my kind of view is like, let's do some short films and then we'll decide who's going to be in the feature. You know, I
Right.
think it's a good process. You got to work with a lot of different people. But I also think the working with familiar people, you know what to expect. Just like you were talking about the crew that show up for 1 hour and say they were on set and said I was crew once or whatever, even though they barely did. That's what like actors, you have to learn all these lines and then you got to figure out what emotions you're going to do and then you got to be ready to play off other people's the way they do it and bounce their you know, like however they do it, you're going to have to do emotions possibly different than you plan. You know, you have to have an idea what you're going to do, but it's really hard basically to say it like you're saying it for the first time. If someone says their line really flat, you might say it differently than you'd originally planned. Like that's really hard. So what happens is some people don't show up or show up one day and don't show up. Like it's the same thing. It really screws it up.
Right.
And I think getting familiar people, you know, I can count on them.
Hmm.
I think that's a big thing why they do it.
Yep.
Kris, tell me, like you have been, no, sorry, Kris, Travis, you have been with Todd Sheets movies and you did some with Patrick Rea. Are
Hmm.
there any others? And like when was the last time that you worked with Patrick Rea? I know you've worked with him a lot.
So it was probably either The Night is Young. I was an extra in I Am Lisa, and in The Night is Young, I got killed, and then we shot some scenes off of a trail near my house. Patrick and I live very close together, so it was right between our houses. And then I can't. There was other ones too. I'm never like a huge part in any of his movies. I'm always honored to be involved and excited to be part of it. But uh, I don't know the exact last one. But yeah, and you're talking about other filmmakers. So it's been some years now, but I worked with Tim and Jen Friend. Um, After they made Bonnie and Clyde versus Dracula, I got to know them, and we made a couple shorts together. Um, and that was kind of one of the coolest experiences, in my early film, branching into that kind of world. We made my wife made a box, like a little game. It was called The Rest of Her. It was called that was the short was called The Rest of Her, and it was like a board game where you put together all these pieces of a puzzle, and it creates a girl, like a human, and but it's missing one piece, and the guy he just obsesses over that little missing piece, and then takes it apart and takes it back to the thrift store, and and that was fun. So, but yeah.
Cool. What have you done that you're the most proud of? And that's for both of you. Like what film, what part of the process have you done? It can be acting, it can be crew, it can just be being a part of a project. What are you most proud of?
For me, it's probably Wolf Moon Rising. Just I think seeing your name on a poster is pretty fun. I like Jim Carrey and the Majestic. I just felt like, you see your name on the poster and you're just like, I did that. Like, I was involved in that and enough to a level where they put my name on the poster. Aside from that, one of the most, I guess, proud or fun or cool things that I think I've done was with Patrick. We did. he made a movie where there's this girl who's got a twin sister, and she's kind of they're fighting for kind of I guess to be the best, or I don't know. They're fighting each other, and one of them's like dying on the hospital bed, and so I had to play the body double for the sister, and that was a blast. I was all wrapped up like a mummy from head to toe, and I don't know, it was just silly, but it was fun.
That's really cool. And did you get your you said your head was cut off. Do you have your head?
Unfortunately, no. So
Oh,
I know I don't know if we ran out of time or what it was, but they didn't actually make a cast of it. So they had a mannequin head, which I don't know where it is. But that it didn't it didn't really look like me, but it was still, like Chris said, Todd made it look like it was real, and that's pretty cool.
very cool. And what about you, Chris? What are you most proud of that you've done so far?
One, my involvement with Wolf Moon Rising, just the different, like I said, hats that I wore during that, and just I think being the new guy, and then getting this, this recognition for everything I did involved with that project. And having been involved with that, I kind of talked about we were working on another project with Todd. Travis and I are both leads in a short movie called Amityville Workshed, which is part of Phil Herman's Amityville Descendants of Darkness anthology that's going to be making some theatrical rounds soon and hit physical media later this year. So I was a lead in that, which that probably just because I was more involved, um, you know, on camera than I was behind the scenes. That was, just my, you know, pat on the back to myself for, hey, again, a year and a half ago, I was a nobody that Todd didn't know. And now Todd claims I'm part of the Extreme Entertainment family now. So,
That's awesome. What motivates you to do this? Both of you, whoever wants to answer it, but like, I mean, I get it being a fan, but what motivates you to do the next step and actually get involved in movies?
I think there's a few things. The fact that we watch Chris and I. If you look at our collections, we have a lot of obscure, kind of low, no budget movies. And the fact that other people are out there doing what we want to do and doing it for no money, doing it with no time and no professional, help. Um, it just kind of makes you think, well, I could do this. Why am I not doing this? And so we just want to kind of get our vision out there. And I can't speak for everyone else, but I'm getting older, and I just kind of want to have some kind of like a legacy or a mark to leave on something. And this is something that this is what we're really passionate about, making movies and watching movies, being a part of it, and showing our friends movies. And um, so it's just kind of an obsession. It's a passion, and it's just fun. We just love doing it. So we could do it more often. If we could do it all day long, get paid for it, it'd be great. But not getting paid for it, we still got to work. But if we could do it all the time, I'd be doing it all the time.
Absolutely. Chris?
yeah, I mean, Travis just nailed it right there. It's just, starting out as a fan and then watching consuming so many other movies, from Z grade and below to, Blockbuster, saying, you know what, that would be a cool process to be a part of. And also, we could do that, if they can do it, we can do it. And so, I think through being involved with, on Travis's side, Patrick and Todd, and on my side, Todd, and then my friends that I had in Hutchinson, you know, that makes Travis and I even more interested in doing something, together where it's our concept and, our movie. And we've chatted about it, nothing's obviously set in stone. And, but, the more I think we're involved, it gets us inspired to do something on our own too. So that may be something in the future that we look at. Travis, I know, has some great ideas. Even if it's just a short movie, like I said, we're both helping out Jack McCord with a short for a part of an anthology for Daryl Hook later this year, possibly. And so, again, just being involved with side projects with those that were involved with Todd as well.
So, this question is for you, Kris. What advice would you give to someone who says, I want to get started, but I don't know what to do?
Oh man. One, just talk to people in the community, in the horror community. If horror is your passion, I mean, it might not be. It could be comedy, it could be thriller, it could be you know stage, whatever it is. But if you're that interested in something, and you obviously are consuming it somehow and talking to other people about it, then further that interest with those involved directly within that industry, I guess I would say. For me, again, it was just happenstance that I met Travis, and then years later, I'm involved with Todd. Would this ever happen had I not met Travis? I guess it could have, but would I have sought it out? Probably not. But I do speak to a lot of independent film directors, whether buying their products, supporting their projects, or just, um, chatting about interests that we have. And so then that's when I put out there, well, I've been involved with this project. Do you have anything that maybe you're involved with that I could help out with? Or so I would say just pursue that passion. If you're that passionate about it, do something about it. Otherwise you might regret not getting involved at all, and you'll have no story to tell. So
Yeah, thank you. That's a great answer. Travis, you have a huge collection back there. What's the best piece in that collection?
Oh, the best piece in the collection. Oh gosh. That's a good question. I don't know about the best piece as far as a physical, like a DVD or a movie or anything. As far as toys and figures and stuff like that go, um, one of my favorite things I have is there's a it's a Candyman. So Patrick Rea actually gave me this. It was a movie store Candyman, big picture with it's like a mirror and it has a frame on it, like a cardboard frame, and it's got Tony Todd on the front of it. And
Wow.
I brought it to Tony Todd one time when I met him, and he was kind of blown away, and he wrote that it was such a beautiful piece of art, and just the fact that he thought that and thought it was cool and signed it for me was just like, oh wow, that's pretty cool.
Wow. So Patrick Ray gave you that as a gift.
Yeah.
That was very kind. That was very cool of him. That's
Yeah,
really
he's
good.
awesome.
Very good. Whenever, so you both have done some acting. How do you get into character? How do you put emotions into lines?
So for me, I don't really know, I'm not like I wouldn't, I don't know if I have like a specific like way of doing it. I just kind of I read the script and think about what you said, how other people might say something or and how you're going to react to them, and um a lot of it's just trying to stay focused and remember what you have to say. And then honestly, it's just kind of it happens in the moment, and you just they say action, and you just start being that character and do your best.
Yeah, that's good. Kris, anything to add? And you can also tell me about how do you learn lines? Go ahead.
like I said, I didn't have but the one quick line in Wolf Moon. But having been on set and long nights, um, there were nights where it was again just time and heat, in the hangar, war on people, and it's just like, man, you've got this one line to do. Why can you not get it? And I know that they probably studied it, and studied it and studied it, but there was just some hang up that they couldn't get it right. And the same thing happened with us whenever we were on Amityville Workshed, you know, y- for whatever reason. That particular script, we had maybe a week's notice on it, and tried to remember all the lines that we could for those shoots that we had. So that again, that was my first venture into actually, you know, delivering lines on camera in mass. And so for me, it was one, just drilling those lines in, and then again feeding off of those that were working with you. Um, Todd was really good about, he knew what he wanted, but if you had another idea to throw in there, or deliver it differently, sure, we can do another take. Todd's, the man of multiple takes, multiple angles, etc. And he'll take what's the best, out of everything that he has. And that's I love that in a director, that they're willing to listen. They might not ultimately use it because it might not fit with, the overall scene, but they're willing to listen and see, because again, you're trying to embody that, character. So you kind of have in your mind how, other than what's written in the script, how it's supposed to play out. Um, and maybe there is a line that's like, Johnny wouldn't say it that way. Johnny would say, okay, well, tell me how Johnny would say it. And so you deliver it. Oh, well, yeah, okay, we'll go with that one. So that's what I like about Todd. Again, I can't speak for Patrick. Maybe Travis can, having been on set with him. But I love that Todd knows what he wants, but he's very open to improv or to input on, what that character, how that character would deliver a line or act in a certain manner, etc.
Sure. And Travis, what's the hardest part about being on either acting or crew? What's the hardest part?
For me, it's getting over anxiety and just, you know, one of the things that my my parents taught me this. My dad would always say, like if you're in a school play or if you're whatever you're doing in life, if you're playing a character, when you're out there, you're not you anymore. You're that character, and you have to, you know, do your best, be that character. Just let go of who you are and be them. And if that means for some people, that probably means coming up with a backstory, that kind of stuff. And then maybe you don't put that much thought into it. Maybe you're just becoming that person. But that's kind of like the way that I would go about it, and the way that I've tried to do it when I've done it. And so, yeah, I just say that the anxiety part for me is the hardest part.
Gotcha. And so you did plays in elementary or high school or something? Tell me about that.
Not like really. I mean, I was probably in, elementary school, you know, singing songs and stuff, but I never really did like plays. My sister did. She was in a whole bunch of plays throughout high school, and I was probably too much anxiety, too nervous to really step up there, and watching her do that was she was my younger sister, and she was kind of inspiring to kind of go out there and maybe try something like that, what she did.
Very cool. Um, Kris, what do you think makes somebody stand out?
I mean, that could be several different things. It could be, the physical look. It could be a uniqueness in how they interact with others, or, you know, um, s- I think, it's all about personality. You're kind of talking to Travis. What was the hardest part about being on set? For me, not to take away from what he said, it was that I didn't see the same commitment sometimes from people on set that I was, and dedication that I was giving, I guess. Certain actors maybe had to chase down, or, they didn't come prepared, or, whatever. And then we know that that's just going to extend the night and the shoot even longer. And then you start seeing that frustration from, Todd and Amanda and everybody involved. When we have extras on set, they have to wait longer, and, they might have been in makeup, you know, a long time before that. And, you just sit around and wait because people can't, get it together for whatever reason. And I understand we have good days and bad days, but if you kind of see some consistency in those bad days, maybe we didn't make, we've got to ask what happened, what can we do better? And again, just I think as a whole, everybody in Wolf Moon did absolutely awesome. With everything that we had to endure. What I mean by endure is just how hot the hangar was. Um, fans could only run, whenever in between takes because it didn't have any background noise, etc. Um, but like I said, just my frustration is just sometimes not as much dedication as I feel that I bring, to a project or life. But um, you were saying what makes someone unique. Again, that's kind of in the eye of the beholder, I guess. But for me, um, uniqueness can come from, just how someone presents themselves, and that's going to be what our initial reaction is, or you know stereotype, I guess, that we come up with on how that person lives their life, and that may be proven right or wrong, as time tells, as time goes on. But again, Travis, he said he's got anxiety. Travis is a pretty eccentric dude too, and I think that's what draws me to him is because we have not only the similar interests, but because the quirks that we both have. Um, and he kind of having seen Travis in, The Devil's Whorehouse and, in Wolf Moon Rising, two different characters, and there was some time there for growth as an actor as well. But I think Travis, again, comes to the table with that he wants to do the best for, not only for himself, but for the project. And he doesn't want to disappoint anyone. And he's going to feed off of others, if it's not coming off the way that, he believes it should be. So.
Well, it's a collaboration, and it's better if everybody's collaborating
You're right.
for the collaboration. Travis, what do you think makes you stand out just in general for you being involved in a project? What makes you stand out?
Pretty cool glasses. No, I don't know. I mean, I guess just like I can't really say what everybody else is thinking or anything like that, but when I'm there, like Kris said, and like Kris does, like it's just this need, like a desire to not disappoint and to create something new and something special. And so whether it like I feel like whether it is the, 10-second short film or like a 2-hour epic, I think, whatever you're involved in, you need to give it everything that you can. Every bit that you can give it, you need to bring your A game, and feed off of other people. And if they're better than you, then feed off of them so that you can be better. And if you're doing better, then try and prop them up so that they can feel like they're improving as well and being part of something bigger than us. And it's just cool to say, I was involved in that. And like, later on you can look at it, we might just be sitting on the couch watching a movie, and we're never going to look back at that and say, oh, I did that. But if we can get out there and do something cool and, make something that wasn't there before, some new art that didn't exist, then a year or 10 years down the line or 20, we're going to look back and be like, that's me, that's when I was younger, we did that. And it's just cool to me to think that other people are going to see that and be like, oh, I wonder what they've done, and look them up on IMDb or something. And that's just kind of fun to me.
It's a beautiful answer. Absolutely beautiful answer. Um, both of you, whoever wants to go first, I'm going to ask two questions. Who wants the first question?
I'll
I
take it.
nominate Kris.
Okay, Kris. Kris, what's your words of wisdom to people watching? Just your words of wisdom, kind of your philosophy
Um,
about film or life.
yeah, show up and you know show people what your worth is. Show them your commitment, show them your dedication. That could be very simple things in life, and that could be very complicated things in life. Um, Surround yourself with those of similar interests, but don't count out those that don't have similar interests, because there's always something that you may again, you may find a common ground on, and or you may find someone that wasn't a fan and you are able to convert them to be a fan. So,
Awesome. Thank you. Travis, what are your thoughts of the day?
Thoughts of the day. Okay. I think that I am extremely honored that you would invite us onto your show. And I owe my also thanks to Kris for letting me know that this was happening and that I was invited to be part of it because this is a blast. And I was watching a lot of your other episodes and just like, oh, I know, Jason Turner's on there and there's Josh Leonard and I know a lot of these people. That's cool. And so it was just kind of fun to just to be involved and so I'm just honored to be part of it. This is kind of what I've been thinking about all day and obviously when I started this interview I was a little bit nervous and flustered and now I feel like it's already almost over and I'm ready to talk.
That's good. Hey, I'll tell you, I truly have enjoyed talking to both of you.
Like
Um, are there anything that you were ready to talk about, maybe you thought about that I didn't ask you about? Something maybe you thought, hey, I want to talk about blank, and then we didn't get to it. Whoever like to, if there's something, go ahead and say it.
uh yeah, actually so there's a short film that's it's 80 seconds long. It's called Dead Grandma. And it's uh, Rachel Kemp and Nick Toddy. They directed it. They made it in my living room upstairs, and they it's a beautiful, very very brief short film. I recommend everyone go see it. It's on YouTube or Vimeo, and it's out there. You can watch it. But it's been getting it won like a Slam Dance jury prize for best short or something like that. It's really kind of impressing people and um just the fact that it was shot here was cool to me. We watching the living room get rearranged and and so that's kind of one of the things that I'd like to put out there for people to go check that out and um leave a
That's awesome.
review.
Who are the creators again?
Rachel Kemp and Nick Toddy. Toddy, I think it says how you say his name. I'm not
Okay.
sure, but
Okay. I had Sam Toddy on here.
oh yeah,
I don't know if that's a relation, but yeah.
I I couldn't tell you if it is, but that's cool.
Oh, okay. All right. Very good. And anything, Kris?
no, like I said, I just like Travis. I'm honored to be a part of this, to be involved, in the Kansas City community. Even though I'm an implant, from elsewhere, I'm going to engulf myself as much as possible in, not only Todd's projects, but if other projects are available, what can I do to help? So I know Todd's, again, talked about some scripts that he's dusting off that people are interested in. So I really hope to get more involved with that. But I would also like to work with Patrick and I'd like to work again with you, Kyle. I think that you were awesome on set, and I think you really brought some personality to that character. So
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I've enjoyed speaking with both of you. And sorry, I had a rough start. I got a new phone,
It's
tried to
okay.
sign into Zoom from my phone, and it screwed up my home Zoom somehow. So sorry it took a minute to get that straightened out. But thank you both for being patient,
Thank
and thanks for being here.
thank you very
thank
much.
you.